on the journey that you already have been on in terms of interviews and other sporting events that you've been, what would you place as perhaps the most significant or most memorable or your favorite in terms of those conversations over the years that you've had?
Yeah, I mean, I repeat it because I think it was unexpected, the Madiba one. The Madiba one, because there were so many different layers to understand. Also just trying to convince him to come onto a sports platform again. Another crazy idea Robert has. But all he said to me, was, "No, you must be kind to Zelda here. Speak to Zelda." Spoke to Zelda as well. I was like, we can make it happen. But what is it? How are you bringing somebody who's a politician to come to your sports show? So I said, no, I'm not going to talk to him about sports. I mean, about politics at all. I just want sport out of him. He's a former boxer. I want to hear from him about how the great Louis Late took him to court. So remember, he's now a free man and so on. And in all the political stuff that was happening with sport, Louis Late had the guts to take Mandela to court. So I wanted to talk to him about that and what that experience was about. I wanted to talk to him about Hansi Cronje, the match-fixing saga, because Hansi, the first call he made was to phone Madiba.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the first call he made, was to Madiba, to let him know when the hit the fan, it was to him. So I wanted to know what that phone call was about, how he spoke to him, etc. And yeah, on those, obviously talk about transformation. The word that a lot of people were very allergic to, which is transformation. I wanted to talk to him. Those are the three key areas that I wanted to hear from him about. Oh yeah, the Springbok emblem. Because remember, the Springbok emblem, as per Donnie Craven, that's why it's so difficult for me till today to call the stadium there that Stellenbosch play in, the Donnie Craven Stadium. I can't, because it still harbors for me the injustice of his words, where he said no black player will ever wear a Springbok jersey. So that was the premise. That was like, but you guys went into NSC meetings, you spoke about this, a lot of your comrades were against it, but you stood up and you said, no, the whole words of, sport has the power to, came through, that you can't now immediately isolate. We brought the national anthems where you sing Distem and Nkosi Sikelel and you fuse it together to try and please this rainbow nation. So I wanted to talk to him about that. So he gave me 29 minutes of radio that I never expected. Like here, SABC became like a fishbowl. So we moved the studios from underground to the reception. It was packed, man. People didn't believe Mandela was there in Auckland Park at the radio station. I met executives from the SABC that I didn't even know existed, who came down all of a sudden to the studio, to come and greet the great man and so on. But all it taught me, and I listened to this interview at least once a year, every year I listened to it. Because in as much as I became unpopular with the Sarus of this world, I became unpopular with Cricket SA, it didn't matter. All I know is that with those tough conversations that we had with some of the black cricketers who came onto the show, the JSN hearings came about with Advocate Dumisa Ntsebeza, who held them, and people got to know what Paul Adams and Makhaintini went through. Those are the things that I said, great, that was the outcome. Today we sit here, number one bowler in the world is an African. But he wouldn't have been given his opportunity had the push for transformation not happened. The only most successful captain in rugby in South Africa is a black man. There's no other rugby captain who has achieved what Siya Kolisi has achieved with the back-to-back World Cups. No.
What's your feeling in terms of where we are with transformation? Because as you mentioned, you brought to light the plight of Makaya, as well as Adams and
about Tsotsobe and all of them.
We see the pushes of like Stronger Together, but we still look at the makeup of those teams, right? You feel very passionately about that, as you just described for us. Where do you think South African sport is with transformation?
I think people can't run away from it. It is there. It's nice and easy to blame Mani Lebok when that one kick that he should have got and we could have won gets blamed for a very talented rugby player, the most skillful rugby player we've had in a long time. Yeah, the core of his business, which is kicking, might not be at its best, but Rassie is not a stupid fool.
Yeah.
Rassie knows when to spot talent. Rassie knows when he was being called a kafot booty by Afrikaners in this country for giving Sia the captaincy, he knew what he was doing. So when he's lifting the trophy, wonderful, he's our friend. Something goes wrong in rugby. It's always got to be the one with the dark skin.
Yes, sir.
But no, you can watch players gig and they miss their gigs or whatever the case might be. All I'm saying is that your Sasha Mgomezulus of this world, they're going to change the landscape of rugby. In the same way, Mani Lebok will continue to be a Mani Lebok in the same structures. We will have more oxen chairs. We will have the Dlaminis, the Tim Kulus, the whatever you want. It's going to be there. Because there's always that feeling that, transformation, you see these quotas. Everyone's blamed on quotas when things are not going well for rugby. But you look at the run-out team in the 15 at the World Cup. Nobody complains about that. Nobody's going to complain about Bongi and how Bongi plays. Instead, they watch the rising...
chasing the sun.
And they're crying with Bongi crying in the change room. But they hated the guy.
Yep.
So how is it now that Bongi is shedding tears? The tears of joy because of the achievement. Now you're going to cry with Bongi. You hated the guy. So South Africans are hypocritical about issues of transformation. Transformation is not about the black sector of the community seeking favor. It's just saying recognize my talent and give me an equal opportunity to be there. Kagiso Rabad proved even at under 19 when he was the best and they won the Cricket World Cup. And that's why I said, and I repeat again, and I was not surprised when we lost, now in 2024, again in the cricket final. And I said, as long as cricket is not fully transformed, you'll never win a World Cup. Forget about it. And you tell me from the first Cricket World Cup that was staged in South Africa in 2003 up until present, you can't blame Duckworth Lewis system. You can't blame anything. You've got to blame yourselves.
It's the rain.
The rain, the add and subtract. So, for me, the sooner we get over ourselves and the hatred that still exists in people, the better for us. We've got boxing world champions. These are black South Africans, but they represent what South Africa is about. That's why I challenged even at Chadler Clough. I said, break your records, be the most medaled swimmer in the history of South Africa. But after that, take it upon yourself to make sure that maybe in the next Olympic Games, we have Mkhize, we have Tsotsobe, who's there in the swimming pool, representing South Africa. That, for me, will be a massive achievement. It's not because we can't. It's just because, again, there's opportunity and it's closed down. Why can't it happen in water polo? We're seeing it in squash. The opportunity, that's all South Africans need to give the black sector is an opportunity. And that's why I even mentioned the two leading sportsmen in the world right now are black Africans, South Africans. Nobody did them a favor. They earned it.